So for my doing what you do video here, I'm just going to do what I do on one of my patients, but he's actually at a return to work right now, so he is not in the clinic this week that I was going to do this. So I got the other fieldwork student, Becca. She is going to just do what he does on testing days, so functional movement screen days. So this is just seeing how how each client can progress every 3 weeks, and we want them usually on a 10-pound increment. We like them improving every 3 weeks, and for the Cybex HUMAC machine, we usually like to see just an improvement on the deficit of the injured limb to the non-injured limb. So in this case, he has an injury to his left shoulder. He is an SGI tertiary client, and yeah, he got surgery on it. He fractured his right distal radius. So that is what we're working on here, and he also fractured his wrist. But this machine doesn't really involve your wrist. This is pretty much just improving kind of range of motion, because he started at he could hardly get his shoulder above his head. So we have just been working on improving the degrees of range of motion. So I'm just setting each part of the HUMAC machine up. So right now I'm just making sure that her shoulder is aligned with this black dot by the dyna tilt there. And the goal here is to make sure her arm is straight, and when she grabs the handle, we want her arm straight, and when she bends it, so as I'm moving it back, I want her arm to be kind of as straight as possible in like a normal, healthy range of motion. Because sometimes if you don't have the right length, your arm is bending or yeah. And then for this one, it's a shoulder flexion extension, and for the flexion, it is or the extension, sorry, is 0 degrees. We just want her extension like in line with the body. And then for flexion, I think the client would be at around 150 degrees. So that's where I put Becca here. I put her around 150 degrees range of motion. And we do 2 sets of this. The first set is kind of just to kind of get warmed up. And yeah, just get warmed up so the shoulder can easily move through the motions. So yeah, now the machine is just starting off by itself. This is called CPM. This is she's putting no force on this right now. So yeah, so that red line is kind of just the natural movement that the machine will take her through. So pretty much just stretching that shoulder muscle out right now is the goal here. So yeah, with the client, usually for an injury like this, we do it twice a week. We don't push too hard. We just want a little bit of improvement on on the degrees. So I aim for about a 2 to 4 degree improvement each time we do this. Yeah, so I choose each test that I do is 3 minutes long, and yeah, so this one right now is CPM, so it's just taking her through the range of motion. But even with a new client, this is a good activity and exercise to just even get to know the client, because I mean it's pretty relaxed, and yeah. So I've actually learned a lot about my clients doing this just with them, because I mean they're pretty comfortable with you, and they're kind of vulnerable in this spot. So I mean they're easy to talk to, and it's nice to get to know your clients, because you don't want them to feel awkward or nervous or at any point. So I like doing this with the client. And yeah, so we've got a stopper on the front. So the stopper stops right there at 0 degrees, and then when I bring it back, it's a little past 150 degrees where she was. So those are just there in case the machine breaks down in any way, and so the handle will actually stop where the stoppers are, because if it doesn't stop, you can dislocate or break a shoulder or arm or whatever limb you're doing very easily. So that's just there for safety reasons, kind of. And yeah, so this is what we'll start with on a testing day. So we will put them through a CPM just to get warmed up, and then we will do a test just to see the deficit. But in this case, the client was not here, so we're just going through CPM, and then a thing called con, which is pretty much the same as CPM, except if you choose to, you have to put force in it, and then it'll measure your force and how much pressure you're putting on the handle there. So here, this is the last rep, so I just hold on to it as it goes back, just so her arm doesn't go past where we set her range of motion there. Yeah, and then I just bring it back, and we will start. We will start our second set as soon as I set her range of motion again. So yeah, so we're just, it's called set AZ. Click that, keep the normal, and then, so yeah. So extension is the same, and the flexion is what we're resetting. So it was 150 degrees there. So this time, as I said, aim for, I mean, with Becca, it's different because she has a full range of motion, but with my client, I would go to 152 or 154, whatever he feels kind of is the max that he can do that day without hurting himself. So I'm setting it there and bringing it back, and then I will click set range of motion on the computer, and then I'll bring her back up to a to the full flexion position, and then it will start by itself. Yeah. So here again we're doing CPM, but when I tell her a few times here to actually put some pressure on it, and I'll tilt the video towards the screen here just so you can see the difference in the lines. So I think it'll be a blue line popping up here. So the blue line will pop up, I believe, right there, and that just shows the difference of, because it's so normal and so linear the first time, and then it raises a little bit. I mean, Becca's not going at an all out here, but if she was, it would be more of a vertical line there. So yeah, like I did this test for hockey, and this was a good test for hockey just because it would test the difference between the deficit in your quads and hamstrings. And I mean, most hockey players have very tight hamstrings, and yeah, so my quads were way more strong than my hamstrings were, and I actually had to change my program a bit as whoever was testing me let me know the results, and the deficit in my hamstrings and quads were actually pretty large. So I switched my training program and tried to make that deficit smaller. But here at courtside, we're working on rehab, so we're pretty much just wanting them to get back to normal, or to get back to normal ranges, because if they're here, they are injured in a fairly serious way. Yeah, and we want them comfy. We have cushions for the seats for their backs. It's actually a very good machine because, you can set it up pretty much any way to make the patient comfortable. Yeah, and I try to stay close to them, watching the computer screen and being close to that handle, just to make sure if anything goes wrong, I can grab it and make sure they let go so nothing happens to them. But yeah, a lot of the clients like this because it's a good warm up for the day, just to get the range of motion back in the limbs. And every day they come in and ask if they can do the Cybex machine today, and twice a week is what we like doing them at, just to not overdo it or not strain their muscles in any way. But yeah, every client that we make do this actually enjoys it quite a bit. Yeah, just having a conversation with Becca, just asking how it feels, but as I said before, Becca is kind of acting as my regular client with a shoulder injury. So yeah, but my client is he's an SGI tertiary client, so he got in a car accident, and yeah, and injured his shoulder and his wrist. So, and this is all post surgery, so he's already had surgery at this point. So that's the end of that test, and then after that, I mean, the clients usually go through a stretches that we show them, and just to get the whole body warm up. This is just imitating the lifts that he would do at his job. So this is called floor to waist. So pretty much just lifting something from the floor to a table on a cupboard, just making sure that they do it in a proper posture and just in a good form, just so they do not get injured. So yeah, we usually just go to one rep max, and yeah. So for my client, he does this is called waist to shoulder. So just imitating movements that he will do at his job, and then I'm moving the shelf up here one. So this will be called waist to above shoulder. So I mean, in this video, I'm just demonstrating what the movements look like and the test looks like. But yeah, so when I'm actually testing the clients, we will work up to their 1 rep max, and we, as I said, 10 pounds increments for improvements every 3 weeks. And now this is just called a carry. So we want them carrying this 10 meters. So to that, pretty much to the carpet where it stops there. Yeah. And she'll turn back and put it on there. So this is just called lifts and carries. So yeah, so the Cybex, the lifts and carries, and then I will finish off with a JMAR. So this is the little JMAR handheld grip machine. So this just tests their overall grip strength, which actually in older people is a good measure of overall body strength, and yeah, and just how strong you are overall. And especially with an upper limb here, we like testing this because this is more of an upper body test. And so there's five lengths that the grip can move. So here we're just showing you just kind of one test at each grip with each arm. But when we actually test them, we will do 3 trials on each hand at each grip. So yeah, as you can see, the dial goes up. She's giving it. I mean, maybe in this video she's not giving it her all, but yeah, we make sure the clients try as hard as they can so we can get an accurate measure here. And as I said, he is actually a wrist injury, so this is actually really good because it shows a huge deficit in his wrist. I mean, at the start, the first week and the third week, he actually had a huge deficit within the grip strength portion. So yeah, so this is a really good test for that. And yeah, so that is the end of the testing, and that is what we do with our clients. Every 3 weeks, we like to see what they're capable of, and this is just a rapid grip. This just makes sure that that the grip strength is appropriate for them.